Aloha. Welcome to Gaia Sophia Dreaming with Michael Duchesne speaking right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Critical Mass Radio and Paul Giovanni and all the crew over there, all the hosts, Kate of Gaia, Rob Freeman, Sarah, Paul himself, and all the other beautiful people connecting through the Emerald Table, connecting with the Emerald Table, and Critical Mass. We are here and grateful. And where do we want to go? The show itself, Gaia Sophia Dreaming, it's about the planet, it's about us, it's about our intimate connection with our hearts and all. And this is all kind of new to me in terms of getting on the radio and sharing my own show. Much aloha to Kate of Gaia for assisting me with this. Big shout out to Mark Passio, Santos Panacci, and many others. Really, thank you from my heart. We need to share the truth. That's what the truth comes to us for, is for it to resonate in our hearts, resonate in our beings, and to share it. And when we talk about standing in our truth, standing in our power, well, that power is love. Let's get that clear. We kind of use this word as power, and a lot of times it comes off as, what do you mean by power? Force or violence? No, I mean love from the heart. That's the power. That's the fuel. That's the source. And this is where we're at. This is the field we live in. Let me repeat that. This is the field we live in. This is where we're truly living. When we generally go into the distortion, the matrix, the fictional reality world, and we tend to not be living. And that's from the soul. That's from the heart. Generally, when we go into these spaces, why it isn't heartfelt? Because it's the distortion. It's the synthetic universe. It's a false light imitating the true organic source. And let's not get negative about this. Again, it was for our knowledge, for our awakening, for our remembering, for our being, to remember that we are gods who are playing a game at not being gods. Or we are high. Again, we're using these words, God, high. Let's get to the essence of it. We are heart-soul expressions, authentic heart-soul expressions. And this is what we are sharing more and more. This is what most people in their hearts, even in certain situations in their life, this is what they dream about. And why would we dream about these things? It's because they're in our heart. They're part of Gaia Sophia's narrative with us, to tune us in to the actuality, the true reality, not our misinterpretation of it, not our false beliefs. We can have those. We can still choose. It's freedom life, your choice. And we're just making the distinction clear of when you're operating in the distortion, the matrix, the dead fictional realm. For all intents and purposes, you're acting in the dead zone. And when you're acting in the dead zone, you're not really living. It's like you've gone into the TV or the movie set and you're playing a role, someone else's role for you. When you choose to play the role for you, now we're living. Not somebody else's thoughts of who you are, what should you be, what should you do. It's your thoughts, your feelings, your heart's desire or content to choose. And a lot of our choices we've been making has almost been an abdication of choice. It's still choice. It's the old Rush song. I'm not quoting it quite correctly, but if you do nothing, that's still a choice. So to remain in ignorance in these times, in this moment, is definitely a choice you're making. And you're not sitting on the sidelines. You're actually an active participant by being ignorant, by not wanting to know. And I don't mean searching for some answer. What I mean by not wanting to know is accepting the truth. And when we accept the truth, we can tend to have this question, what does it feel like? What does that mean? And to me, what it feels like is, well, the word that's been coming to many people is we resonate with it. Because that's what happens. You resonate with truth. You resonate with love. You resonate with these higher, these clearer essences. And the old saying, it feels good. And how would we see this play out? How do we see it in our manifested reality? If you're tuning into the truth, resonating with it, accepting it, and having love as your foundation, what we will tend to see is more harmonious interactions, more harmonious, joyful things that we are doing with others or with ourselves. And this is how we know we're tuning into the truth and love. Because when we come from there, there's no drama. When we come from there, there's no harm. It's freedom life. Do no harm to others. And this does not mean you let people walk over you. Of course not. It's a reminder you do not have to stand down to authority. You do not have to actually stand up to authority. It's good if you do, but at the end of the day, what you generally want to do is walk away from authority. Recognize it as an old movie that you're no longer participating in. So we can see these authority figures, whether it's someone in a uniform, someone in a classroom, a building, office building, your neighborhood, that this old pattern of thinking and beliefs are dissolving. They're dissolving with the waters of truth. And in this, we are no longer going to be able to cause harm to another being. And truly, I delight in this knowledge. I delight in this. Why do I delight in this? Well, I'm reminded by the planet that there are other ways that we truly interact with each other where we cause no harm, not in thoughts, not in feelings, not in actions. And why is this so? How can this be? Well, we come from two places. One is love, one is fear. And if we want to look at it as operating systems, love is the operating system of the natural organic universe. Fear is the operating system of the synthetic universe. The copy. The one we've been playing a lot of dramas in. And sometimes we think it's really deep. Like, wow, how deep is this rabbit hole? Well, it's as deep as you want to go. And it's as shallow as you like. And as deep as it goes, you can step out of that hole with one step. And that one step comes from love. And then your next step is love. You're out of the hole. You're out of the hole of your own making. Recognize it. That might be a little scary. I made this. I did this to myself. How could I have done that? Well, you've had a lot of active participants in assisting you in doing this. And in the end of the day, you ask these people to join in your unfolding. And we should be thankful. Some moments, it's hard to do in the moment when you would generally not think to thank someone who made you angry. Again, this is a play on words. Made you angry? Somebody made you angry? Well, again, take the responsibility. Assume the responsibility. Own your anger. Don't blame it on someone else. They might have triggered it. They might have brought it up in you. But again, it's for you to deal with. Can you the other person to assist in you with this? For sure. But again, it's not the blame game. And we tend to do this in our relationships. Well, we've had a tendency to do this in our relationships. And I feel this is part of our awakening or coming into self, is that we're recognizing that more and more. And we are wanting to stop that pattern. And as long as we're assuming or owning that responsibility, we will recognize that pattern. And if we're not, we tend to not do that. We tend to blame someone else. We tend to project it on to another. Whether it's your partner, your child, your parents, your friends, your neighbors, and extend it out from there. You can extend it all the way to the Whore of Babylon. Wherever you want to take it. You can just blame it on whatever alien species you're fond of or not fond of. That's not going to change anything. And that's what I'm getting at here. Blaming others is not going to change anything. You can see their role in it. Their role in doing some of these things that you feel are not pono, are not righteous, are not in tune with the heart. In order to change that, again, it's a self-change. And you might go, well, Mike, it's still happening over there. And in your world, how do you change that? Well, this is where we talk. Get dark, get deep, go inside. If you have to shed a few tears, please do. I've had my moments where I've had that, I'll call it the sob of life, where you're just so grateful. And that's what tends to happen when you face your shadow, when you go into your so-called dark side. These are just hidden aspects of yourself that were kind of, in a way, saving some energy for you to be creative. Because in these kind of blocks where we recognize something's not resonating with our heart, we want to change this. It's natural. It's natural to want to change that for yourself, and it's natural to want to change that for all. Because all is self. Self is all. And to do this, we need to focus on the self. Because if our picture of ourselves isn't clear, well, there you go. Our picture of the world isn't clear. It doesn't mean we don't see a lot. It doesn't mean we don't understand a lot. It just means that when we really want to truly do something to change it, we've seen in the world how in certain aspects it doesn't change that way. For example, well, if we think of war and we think of protests, I think it's wonderful to stand up for yourself and for others. Where you really need to stand up is inside. This is where it's at. And you stand up with yourself. And we turn that focus inward. And we remember the power we have in our imagination. And what I'm getting at is, if our focus is always on the protest or always on what the other guy is doing wrong, what you feel is wrong, government shouldn't do that. Man, government shouldn't exist. So just to think they shouldn't do that, take it back a step. Or look a little further. They shouldn't exist. In one way, they actually do not exist. We talk about this world being a figment of our imagination or an illusion. In many ways, I don't buy that. It might be a holographic universe. It might be, let's call it mutable by nature. It changes. And by the power of our imagination, I can't emphasize this strong enough. Our imagination. This is what we should be doing for our children. This is what we should be doing for adults. This is what we should be doing for our elders. Reminding them of the power of their imagination. Because when we tend to focus on the lamestream media, we're tending to, it's like our thoughts are tuned into a frequency, and most of it is negative. In a way, it's actually feeding the very thing you want to stop. Because you're focusing your attention on it outwardly. And where you need to focus your attention is inwardly. In the true imaginations of yourself and this planet. Put that dream into reality. So you don't like war? Well, imagine everyone loving each other. If you don't like fighting, imagine everyone dancing together. This is what I mean. This is where our imagination, inside, in tune, this is where we're coming from, the anagogic, the spiritual nature of ourselves. It ain't somewhere else. It's right here inside of us, all around us. It is. Our soul ain't in another location. That power is here, now. And this isn't a power of egotistical, maniacal bullshit. This is the power when you align with yourself, truth, love, the planet, the galactic core. What's there to say? You're infinite. All of a sudden you remember your infinite worth, your infinite value. That goes beyond any limited currency that we've been playing with. And it isn't a how can I say it, an I. It's a we. Now, yeah, we can have different definitions of I. Kate so lovingly shares with us every day this. And so look at it from this perspective I'm saying. I alone on an island are basically deserted. Because in this moment, generally, our ego jumps into the driver's seat and plays, ooh, I'm lonely, it's only me. And it can flip it the other way. Oh, it's all me. I'm most powerful, the master of the universe. Now you are this, but it's in a very loving way. And that's the big difference. When we remember the we, what I'm sharing with this here is you're not forgetting. Again, I'm not telling you to focus on the rest. I'm telling you to focus on yourself. But then we remember the power that we have, again, in our imaginings. I'm looking at Venus right now. Venus is shining over Maui right now. I'm on Molokai. Much aloha, mahalo, and thanks to the beings who came before me, came before us, that shined a light on this pathway, shined a light into our darkness, so to say, to go, hey, there's some balance over here. Come. And this is what we do for each other when we share a smile, when we share a laugh, when we give a hug, when we just remember to love, when we remember to tune into that field that's all around us, all inside us, that permeates everything and everywhere. So don't make it a possessive thing. This is where we can lose our balance. This is where we can start shifting into polarities and having dramas play out in our life. Not necessarily a bad thing, but if we start causing harm in that, well, it is. We recognize, as I mentioned earlier, that some of these dramas, these tensions, frictions that we come up against, these are like hidden treasures waiting to be uncovered. Not to delve into them, not to dive into them and make them more. It's to tune into them and release that shell that we've kind of trapped some of our creative energy in. And when we remember this, and we don't, again, project onto another our anger, because, oh, I just got some tension, and you're in the room, it's because of you. She's like, no, rewind that back. You just left your treasure on the ground, so to say. Pick it up, crack it open, let that creative energy flow, and use it now for not drama anymore. Use it now to bring joy and happiness in your life. So this is something that I remember, and it's almost a daily basis that we're still discovering parts of ourselves where we have this kind of conflict going, internal. And this internal conflict, again, don't, I keep using this word don't. Well, this internal conflict, let's remember to not project it onto others and deal with it. And in many ways, we think, well, part of feeding this Yes, we are. In our own little ways. It could be a big way, it could be a little way. But still, even in our own little ways, we can shine this diamond clearer. And it's a good thing. So it's again reminding to, which my wife was doing quite nicely yesterday when I was stressing out. She was laughing quite lovingly, and I was really appreciative of that. She didn't build the drama for me. She stood in her center, and which helped me come to my center and be and live again. So, anyone like to call in this morning? Happy Equinox. Hope all you guys are enjoying this balance of the light and dark, this equal day, equal night. I really love Equinox. I really love this balance. I really love being here. There's some moments that I think otherwise. You know, we take a deep breath, or we receive beautiful breath. We let the tension go. We listen to the song in our heart. We hear our heart sing. We remember who we are. And this is where words sometimes can't express the true feeling of the heart. We can come close, and that's beautiful. It's not necessary to always find words to express your feelings. Just admit that. Let's start emitting. Let's start transmitting our heart, soul, essence, instead of being that receiver all the time. We're at the dictates to someone else's program, and usually, and again, you ordered this. I ordered this by not emitting my own frequency, by not imagining my dream. And so, default program is you get the old one. That's changing. Doesn't have any legs anymore, that table. And now it's no longer, above the truth. It's now, again, dissolving in the waters of truth. And we can help that by remembering to laugh, to love, and to share. So the call-in number for tonight's show is 347-326-9530. You can go in through Blog Talk. And it's the Gaia Sophia Dreaming Show. Please call in if you like. And again, thank you to Critical Mass Radio for providing all of us this opportunity to tune in with each other and share. That's what about the conversation was generally about what we didn't like. Let's have the conversation be about what we do like. What we do like to see, what we are seeing that we like on this planet. The birds, the bees, and the trees. As simple as that. I like that. And by focusing on that, this is what we bring into creation. This is what we bring out here. This is what we tune into here. So if our dialogue with ourselves and others is of such a banal nature that it's always talking about someone else's story generally. You can know it right there. Whether it's TV show, something happening in the news, so to say. What news? Propaganda. And you'll see what comes out in your life. So I watched how, just in my own experience, where I've watched TV and watched more TV and watched myself not living. It was quite apparent to me. I went, wow, what's going on here? Well, sometimes it's good to just zone out and not think, and maybe you'll use a movie or a TV show to do that. But many times, no, we're kind of bored, just want to fill our brains with bullshit. And the tendency there is when we do that, we get more of it. That's why we're a reminder. Fill your brains. Fill your thoughts with things that resonate with your heart. Things that make you go, oh yeah, I really like this. Whether it's comedy, something that really makes you laugh, brings you joy. Because this is what's going to bring laughter and joy in your life. So, again, some people say, this truth hurts. Yeah. Truth hurts the part of yourself that you need to let go of, so to say. You need to dissolve. You need to, well, feel them, recognize them, and let it be. Let it be. As simple as that. It's not stuck. Just let it be. And so, listen to Sivan Bomer. Wow, this guy is just a source of so much. Listen to Mark Passio. Listen to Kate of Gaia. Listen to whoever it is that brings a smile to your face. Makes your brain go, Gets you realizing and remembering so much that all of a sudden you're not watching the TV anymore. You're not reading some trash. You're not searching the news stories to see what the latest spin on how the world is going to be a better place with this new act by the government. What a joke. I don't mean a good one. So remember, this is how we tune back into ourselves. We do not fill our being with junk, whether it's food, information, what we see around us. I mean, you could stare at a brick wall or you could stare at a tree. I'd rather stare at a tree. And to me, there's a big difference. One's alive, and I can interact with it, sharing with me as we speak. The other one's a man-made construction that when you run up against it, it's hard and it hurts. Now, if you come up against something that's hard and it's hurt, please remember, there's other choices you can make. You do not have to pick through that brick wall of your making. If I just keep hammering on this, I'm going to break through. It's just like, no, there's no door on the other side of that. And with that, for me, I see the the difference between the, we'll call it the organic and the synthetic. And we've been playing a lot in this synthetic reality. And it hasn't been fun mostly. It's been a drear. It's been a drag. And when you have the opportunity to step out of those environments that tend to be, well, dragging you down, and you, whether it's a park in the city, a place in the country, out on the water, those synthetic structures are not there. They're only there if you bring them with you in your mind. And that's something I've noticed in the place I live. And I've described it as being beyond the matrix. And I recognize this as being everywhere, not just here. Here was a strong reminder of it. It's not like, oh, this place is special than any other. To each their own, and to each place to their own, in terms of all is special. And it's showing me that this, what people tend to get caught up in the fictional realm, the synthetic universe, the distortion, that it comes their so-called reality. It encompasses basically their whole world. It isn't their whole world. This is what I'm sharing at. However, when we go into that, you see how it seems to be all there is. And when we have the moment, we seize that moment, choose that moment to tune in, we recognize the bigger picture. We recognize the wholeness of ourselves. And we put the true nature of that distortion, of that synthetic universe in perspective. And it's no longer an all-encompassing. It's this small ball we've been kicking around with each other. Here, you play with this distortion. Oh, you do it. We've been kicking this ball back and forth, thinking it's our whole world. No, literally, it's like a soccer ball, football. Kicking it around, that's the distortion. That's where we're at right now. You can pick it up and make it your world, or you can put it back on the ground and kick it out of here. Gone. That's your power. You do not have to have that distortion in your life, wherever you are. You can choose to emit your own frequency from your heart and not be at the willpower of another. And I don't want that to sound negative, but when you're at the willpower of another, you're basically giving up your responsibility of self and saying, please, no, here, you take care of it, authority. Well, you're not a baby anymore. You don't need your mom or dad to wipe your ass or tell you what to do or who to be. You don't need the next authority figure, whoever you put there, to do those same things. There's only one authority over your life, and that's you, yourself. Recognize that. Realize that. Because when we play that game of master-slave relationship, of I'm superior than thou, I have the right to do what I want to you, well, that just does not work in my world. And I don't want to play that game anymore with myself either. And recognize that there is no true authority outside of yourself. There is none. And you might say, well, Michael, I see them over there. Yeah, and I'll tell you, they're just wearing a costume playing a game. But they got a gun. Well, I didn't say they weren't violent. They're operating from fear. Of course they're going to have violent tendencies, harmful outcomes. But that's not the true nature of our hearts. Yeah, and I'm reminded that there may be some beings on this planet who don't have that. Well, don't have that connection to heart. And if so, bye-bye. See you later. Check you in another part of the universe, because it ain't happening over here anymore. And that's what so many of us are tuning into. And this isn't some pipe dream of someone else's salvation coming to rescue us. It's about being one with yourself, the planet, the sun. Tuning into Gaia Sophia dreaming. Tuning into her narrative where you live in harmony with self. And that just goes right in tune. When you live in harmony with yourself, you live in harmony with the planet, you're living in harmony with the cosmos, you're living in harmony with all. When we tend to, when we forget and we are operating from, someone else's dictates, this is coming from fear. And it's not that we lose what we are, we forget who we are. And we're playing that game again of not being God, or not being the true power source that you are. You is. And I would like myself to stop doing this, and I wish that for others, because I feel the difference, and that difference is one of joy, one of laughter, one of heart. And, joyful times, joyful moments. This is what we came here to share with each other. Enough of the drama. Keep it to a minimum if you have to, catch yourself. Catch me now, I'm falling. Oh, I love the Kinks. So, as I'm looking with Venus again, I remembered of this phi-based system we've been playing in. And we sometimes feel that's all there is. And that isn't all there is. You are much more than that. Is your physical body based on that? Is this world based on that? Yeah, it has structures based on that, for sure. Is that the only? No. It isn't. And in this game of playing, I can't do that or something. Excuse me, I'm trying to light an incense. I've got some mosquitoes saying hello to me. We do those things. So my reminder is, here it is. Alchemy is the making of supernature from the human effect in the natural world. Now, this is just showing our true nature. The human effect in the natural world. When we really tune into our hearts and start operating from love, this is the supernature. wow, in many ways I see it. It's like it's here. And it's not like it's someplace else or coming into being. It's already here. And we still have this distortion. We still have this kind of haze around it. Well, this is the overlay of the synthetic universe, the fictional realm we've been playing in. We had been playing in. And we are now starting to see through that and recognizing what truly is. And, well, I want to talk about the true great work here. And I'm very happy that I've tuned into it again. And this is the task of what we could call co-creation, service rendered to nature by humanity. It's a way of completing the very process of creation by remembering our active role in our lives. We're not, even if we choose to believe we're at the, whims of another, what we're being reminded of is, man, you're part and parcel of this whole thing. You are one half of the whole. You are the whole. And we do this great work together. And we become conscious. We live as conscious caregivers of the biosphere, of this planet. And we share in the mysterious dynamics of the air we breathe, the universe we see, the life we live. And there's a little quote I'd like to share. Moral as much as physical is the alchemical principle that everything which happens physically within the Earth's atmosphere has its moral equivalent in human nature. So it's showing us our intimate connection and what's going down in this physical world. We can have it act upon us, or we can act on it. I recommend acting on it with nature, Gaia Sophia, Panchamama, Mother Nature, the great mystery. Remember walking hand in hand with her, Source. And, well, also in this, because we are all doing this. We're all, in a way, oh, who are these alchemists, these guys that, some really high, knowledgeable guys. We are all this. We're doing this on a moment-by-moment basis. Process of alchemy. And what this requires, it requires a training of imagination to see how we are involved in the dynamics of what's happening, recognizing how, not just our role in it, but how what we think or not think is playing out in our world that we see out here in this physical beauty. And the power of the imagination was called the artifacts. It was a tool for achieving the great work, to bring our imagination into really a living, breathing source or field of awareness that when we've had this vision since young, since we were very young, I mean, you ask a little kid, what do you want to do? I want to save the world. I want to free the planet. I want to make sure all the animals are given care to. All these, really, you hear from a kid and you're like, oh yeah, isn't that nice? No, I hear that and I go, yes, you remember. Because I still remember. I remember myself sharing this from such a young age and throughout my life here. And many times when I've shared it, I've heard some not quite nice replies or responses that ran the gamut of "you're crazy" to "you can't do that, get on with your life, what are you thinking?" And I'm like, well, I'm thinking beautiful thoughts about me and you and all of us. And there's no harm in that. It's actually harm in the other aspect when we doubt that, we forget that. We forget to share that imagination with all. And you share that imagination with all by going inside, and instead of seeing a world of corruption and degradation and destruction, and you remember, you imagine a world of, and you focus on, again, the beauty that we have here also. That's your base, your foundation. Again, you've come back to it. So you're not seeing the fictional realm for being all it is. Well, thinking that it's all that it is. That's what duplication tries to do. It tries to duplicate what is real. In a way, we could look at that and say that is actually, we can look at that as a negative thing, or we can look at that thing as a positive thing. We can look at this synthetic universe and go, wow, well, let's get a little literal here. We can call you bastard, that bitch. And again, you just see how you just project it outside of yourself. You there goes your power. You just say, oh, here, yeah, I'm an effect to you. No, let's stop being the effect to that. And how we do that is what I'm just sharing. Start amping up that imagination of yours. Remember that, yes, whatever you really feel in your heart and you want to see on this planet, in your life, in your world, focus on that. You want to see, you want to feel everyone laughing, sharing, and giving. Well, think about that. Imagine that. In my world, that is so real. And I'll hear, well, Michael, there still isn't always going on like that. Well, yeah. But I'm recognizing, I'm tuning into some parts that are like that, and reminding me it all is like that as soon as we stop playing that game of I own this, I possess this, and you don't. And we can start right off with the very land we are walking on. I'm of the feeling that you do not own land. In the fictional realm, yes, we're still playing at that. But in the true reality, you are a servant of the land. You're a servant of the land. You cannot own it. It's like when they said Columbus discovered America. What a joke. I mean, how degrading is that? Even to this day in our history books, they still say that. I'm like, what part of, if someone was living there, that you couldn't have discovered it? It's an idea of separation, of division. A true savage doesn't live in the forest. A true savage is the one who destroys it. So when we read A Brave New World and they put this word inside of us about savage and all of that, again, it was a division, and they did that at a young age. We thought, oh, wow. No, that was programming. But again, this programming, if you own it, was a reminder of the self. And it was another sign on your path of, oh, there's division again. There's the separation. Let's not go there. So you could rail at that sign. Oh, I don't like that sign. I don't want that division and all that. Or you can recognize, oh yeah, don't take that exit. And our paths come clearer. We're no longer going down some bumpy roads, because in many ways we don't need those bumps anymore. We don't need to make things harder for ourselves. And we do that by abdicating responsibility. And we need to accept our responsibility to be the cause, to share the truth, to be love, to recognize that in all. That even if you have someone that you love very much, you have tension with, even another person on the street where, well, they're just some mean guy, just in that moment, just showing you that face. I'm not saying it's always easy, but if we can remember that God spark in all of us, it can transcend that moment. It can turn that drama right inside out and finish with it, where that tension is gone. Because we recognize the true nature in another. We didn't recognize their lower self playing in the drama and thinking that's all they are. Instead of, wait a second, they're just like me. Let's recognize that true source of ourselves. And then even in that, well, if they choose to still do actions that are causing harm to another, well, walk away from that person. Get away from them. Don't add fuel to the fire. It's not that you're running away from a problem. The problem is actually feeding that drama. Now, if you can take a deep breath, calmly look at the situation and deal with it, by all means do. But many situations, they're not for that. They're literally like, you're standing in the wrong place, wrong time. Move. That's perfect also. We don't have to stand there and play victim. Yeah, but I was here first. You'll see that with kids and you'll see it with adults, but with the kids you notice it's so much easier. With the adults, no. We tend to forget that, but it's just like the kids. I was here first. No, that's my toy. These are my rules. Well, what do we share with kids when they're playing that game? Oh, let's not do it that way, children. And I mean this for myself, and I mean this for all the other adults, beings that have spiraled around this universe a few more times this time around. So when we recognize that in the children, let's remember how we do that in our own lives. And remember that planet was here before you. And that if someone's causing you grief, you don't have to accept it. And what I mean by that is you don't have to internalize it. You don't have to internalize these things and then somehow make them your reality or have more of those experiences. And this is what we're waking up to. We're waking up to how this has happened, how we get sucked into the drama vortex, and how we truly live in harmony with all. And it's coming that clear. There's really no more gray area. It's really coming back to that right or wrong. I didn't say good or bad. I said right or wrong. And what I mean by that is, if it causes harm, it's wrong. If not, it's right. So most of the things that we, well, let me rephrase this. You can't make a right into a wrong. Not possible. You can call it one now, but it ain't one at its true nature. So basically every law on the book is a wrong. It's there. It's not necessary. If something is true, you don't need to make a law about it. And these are some of the things I'm going to go into. If you want to know more about this aspect, please read Jeremy Locke, The End of All Evil. You can Google What on Earth is Happening. Mark Passio has a PDF file on it. And the other book is The Greatest Superstition. I believe that's the title, by Larkin Rose. And part of his book is online also. And it doesn't take much to go into either of these books. Like right in the beginning, they lay out this authority game and how at its nature it's really a superstition. We've been playing with something that we have imagined to be so real. And when we start breaking it down and looking into it, we just see the inherent fallacy of the whole idea that someone has the right to rule another. No one has the right to rule another. And that's what I was saying, trying to make a wrong into a right. Just because you wrote it down and made a law, it is not a right. It is not a right for anyone to go out and kill another person. I'm not talking about defending yourself with force. I'm talking to go out and kill another person. For example, to harm another person, especially under the guise of, well, they told me to do it. Who's they? Well, my commanding officer, or the government, or this so-called leader over there. They told me to do it. Well, guess what? They got their own shit for telling you to do it. But you got even bigger shit by believing that and thinking that, well, it's right somehow. No, it's still a wrong. If you don't have a right to do that on an individual level to another person, it goes straight out. It goes in all ways. Just because some authority now says it's okay, it still does not make it a right. And it still doesn't make it okay. And we've been playing at that game. And when we say we want to see the world change, this is one of the things. This is really the in some ways, the heart of the matter when we look at the system. Because this is kind of the basis of it, based right into believing in authority. So we can look at really the true divide, one true divide here, and that separates humanity into two distinctive types. And we can look at this and go, well, Mike, you're being really, maybe generalizing. and I'm not here, really. This true divide is basically when we believe in this, and I'll say it in a moment, when we believe in this, what will be a result of it is actions causing harm. That's not freedom life. No. So the one true divide that separates humanity into two distinct types of individuals is whether or not one believes in authority, that believes someone has the right to tell you what to do. I don't mean a leader. A true leader guides, doesn't dictate. Doesn't tell you have to do this. It shares with you why, and still your choice. So this is where it's coming really now to the moment. And this is coming to people's awareness. Because this authority that we've just somehow accepted in our lives without even thinking what it is, well, it's just authority. They're there and got to do what they say, right? No. Because what generally they tell you to do will cause a harm to another. Otherwise, they don't need to tell you to do anything. If somebody needs to tell me to not cause harm to someone, well, maybe, but it's inherent in our nature not to remember that there's not something quite right about that. So basically what this belief in authority means is you believe that there is legitimacy to slavery. That's it, in a nutshell, right down to its basis. Authority is about slavery. And we've had so many examples that this has become, in a way, a taboo thing. You can't talk about slavery. It's 2014. We still have slavery on this planet. I don't need to go back 30, 50, 100 years. We still have examples of this happening. Now remember, no one's a slave. But we have examples where this plays out. Why? We're still playing this authority game. We're still playing this duality game. And we don't have to. You can recognize it. You can remember what it is. Again, authority means someone has the right to rule over you. And no one has a legitimate right to rule over anyone. That was part of the programming we've just come through. Not necessary anymore for us to learn the lessons we came to experience. And so this is one way why I see it all dissolving, that fictional realm. Kings, queens, politicians, banksters. If you want to play those roles, well, you're not going to be able to play those roles any longer. Here, in the now moment, in 0 point, in the true earth that we live with. We live with. And those roles are going to be gone. And if you're attached to those roles and you want to continue playing them, maybe I'll see you in another part of the universe. And, well, I won't forget you. You're still in my heart. Still love you. But not in my neighborhood anymore. And that's okay. Does that make us not one? No. Don't limit ourselves to, well, we're only one right here. No, we're one in the entire galaxy, universe, galactic core. We're one in our uniqueness. We're one in our infiniteness. We're not one in terms of an encapsulation, one in terms of a limit. And this is where it can go. Because we're still in a dual nature. Well, no, that's not true. We're still playing in a dualistic system where separation is kind of the modus operandi. And we even have a tendency to look at some of these really clear concepts and be confused by them. And again, that signal is very weak It's actually done. And because you have the power not to tune into it. That's why it's finished. Because you have the true power not to tune into it anymore. It's done its part. It's done its service. Remember, if you ever hear TV shows, think if you're listening to this is the test of the emergency broadcast system or whatever, and it's kind of remind me of that. It's like it's finished. This is just a test. And the test is over. But we're replaying it in our minds. And we're still projecting it out and blaming it on some, whatever it may be. The Pope, the Vatican, the City of London, Anunnaki, Whore of Babylon, whoever. Instead of reminding yourselves that you're greater than all of this. You're greater than all of that. You truly are. And in our wholeness, when we come into that, well, we don't have to come into that. We are that. We are this. When we tune into it more, well, we see more of the whole picture. Quite naturally. Tune in more to yourself. You see the picture clearer on the outside. And with that, I'm going to do a shout out for the station. Play a little jingle here. Let's see if I can find it. Again, thank you so much to Paul Giovanni and the crew at Critical Mass Radio. And for all those who tune into the Emerald Table every day, and for all of us, my heartfelt thanks.
Their walls are falling. The momentum is now with us. It's our time now. At the most pivotal point in history is Critical Mass Radio, 24/7 Truth Radio. Help us to help you. Please go to www.criticalmassradio.co.uk and subscribe £1, £2 or £3 a month. The critical mass has been reached. We must come together. We must stand together for ourselves, for each other, for our future generations. criticalmassradio.co.uk. Now, it's our turn.
Indeed it is. So please, support the ones you love. Support the ones who are sharing truth. I have a strong, feeling connection about this economic system we've been swimming in that propagates this master-slave relationship that we were dabbling in. I like how Michael Tellinger reminds people about how money is not necessary. Money is part of the problem. Money was another tool to enslave. And again, all these things that are meant to enslave us, bring us down, are also on the other foot here to wake us up, to remember who we are. So again, you can use this you can take this knowledge to, well, feel worse for yourself, or take this knowledge and feel better. And what generally was happening before is, well, there was a lot of fear being around, and so we would go into the fear aspect of this knowledge instead of remembering and going, okay, this is what it is and this is what we can do. So in terms of this money and how it basically co-opted our spiritual currency, it made us project outside and put a value outside of ourselves instead of realizing the infinite worth that we are, that we have, that we is, that I am. And that has nothing to do with a greenback, a pound note, a gold bar, a silver coin. You're way beyond all of that. And so while we are still playing with this monopoly money, as I like to call it, let's use it for some good. Really. Share it with the ones you love. And remember that in the true nature of reality, there's no such thing as money. There's actually no such thing as barter. There's no such thing as barter and trade. This is what we were taught was how it naturally evolved from people, this economic system where we needed to now trade with one another, and I give you 10 cows for 20 sheep. And that's the economic system now. That's how it started. I have some fruit, give me some salt. And they traded. And they needed money now to do this. No. Right there and then they co-opted the words. They co-opted the word trade. Well, they brought the word trade in instead of share. Because that's what people used to do. Share. Give. And I was talking with some Hawaiian elders, and I was going into this with him, and we were uncovering this. He was like, well, we traded here. I was just like, no, you didn't. And he was just like, and then he described how when you had your own, let's say, neighborhood or your area from mountain to sea, and when you walked into the next valley or say next Aupa'a, you didn't have the so-called right to go hunt or fish there without their permission, because they are the caregivers of that area. And so naturally, when you wanted to maybe listen to the words and don't go across their land, it's not their land, go across the land that they were the caregiving, you would bring an offering. You would bring a gift. It wasn't necessarily you were bringing something to trade. No, you were being thankful for coming over to their garden and being able to share in it. So you would bring something to share. And when me and my friend really got to that, we realized, it wasn't about trading. It was about being thankful and giving. Because the planet shares with you freely. And our true nature is to share in and out freely with no strings attached. That means no added value. That means no added value tax, no system of price placed on the natural giving and sharing of humanity, of the anthropos, of the people. It wasn't trade per se. I have this abundance. Would you like some? Yes. I have this abundance. Would you guys like this? Sure. That's trade. No. That's someone sharing a surplus and someone else sharing a surplus. And you see the terms trade put on this action. And then you see the term that's an economy put on this action that we naturally do. No, it's nothing about economy. And I have an economics degree. I've studied this shit. I got a BA in the bullshit. That's what it is. I piled some bullshit on top of the truth and said, here it is, this is what it is. And I'm like, that's still bullshit. Clear it up. There's the truth. We naturally give and receive without any value attached to it in terms of I gave you more than you gave me. No, doesn't matter. Truly doesn't matter. You're giving because you have something to give. You're not giving to receive. Giving to give. Naturally, you will receive as a byproduct of giving. And you see that's just the pure flow. I have opportunities in my life to experience this. And when you have the chance to experience this again, and like I said, it could be a smile. Give someone a smile. They give it back, great. If they don't, doesn't matter. You're sharing. They might not smile back, but maybe they'll smile at the next person. You see that? I've done that. Someone smiled at me, and I was just like, what the heck, they smiling at me? And then the next person comes by, I'm smiling at them. I'm like, oh, yeah, thank you. Why do I have to be an asshole? And so that's how we didn't have this separation, like all of a sudden this gift we got from nature, whether it was a papaya or a coconut or a breadfruit, we didn't then go, you got to give me something back. Here's a coconut. Give me something back. No, that action is not there. That is not the natural dream we live in. It was, here's a coconut. Enjoy. And that's love. That's love with no strings attached. That's love with no conditions. That's all I'm going to say right now. Love with no conditions. Man, I much love Kate in terms of, she's done so well, Kate of Gaia, in terms of reminding us, about how if there's a word you use like unconditional and you might have, I don't feel good about that word. Or some other word that you turn it around, make it positive, see the positive in it and come back to neutrality. Quit being at the whims of these words. It's like someone's throwing a magic spell out there and you're at effect to it. And because we have, or I have let's call it a negative connotation associated with this word, and the reminder is to break that spell. As Kate said, in the sound, and as Seven says, the English language is backwards. Really, to get some clearer understanding of that, I totally recommend tuning in to Outside the Box or Astral Quest, and they'll share with you that. And man, I feel so happy because usually at this time in the morning, I'm listening to those guys, those girls, tuning into these other shows and that are sharing the truth and love, and beginning my day that way. Because now it's 5:27 here in Hawaii, universal time. This ain't linear time where we live. This is a new concept here in Hawaii. It's the economic system is a relatively new concept here also, especially on the island I live with. And we've, as a species, have been programmed to believe that this is how it's basically been. And when you get to go some places and recognize otherwise, get to experience otherwise, and you tune back in and you realize, no, this is how it has always been. And we've been fed a bunch of lies about how it has been. I don't buy a word they say in any of these history books in the way they've been laying out the past. Remember, the past was always written by the ruler, by the guy who won the so-called war that they manufactured to begin with. Created a so-called opposition so people can go, well, let's not even go there. Let's go back to, because that's basics. It's causing harm or not. And this is about, really, we're going to get into many different subjects and areas on this show. But the real focus is coming back to the true heart of selves. So we'll show the distortion, the deception, the cosmic deception, to remember to come back here. Ways we've been caught ourselves around us, ways we still interact with life in a thinking belief way. So I might go to the store, but my whole belief system has changed. I recognize, I'm aware of, let's call it, true nature of the reality of the system. I'm not going into the store and thinking, oh yeah, this is lovely day, la la la. No, that's the control system right there, still playing out. Like the hospital, like the schools. That's the control system still playing out to remind us a little bit more work to do. And that work is self. So we got about 29 minutes left in the show. Again, you can log into Blog Talk, Skype in, and press 1 on your keypad to come on the board. Chime in this lovely equinox that we are all experiencing. Just so happy that this balance. We talk about balance, and this neutrality. This is what an equinox is reminding us of. It's showing us that perfect harmony where we're in this neutral, 0 point. This is the planet in a way, in a projection with the solar system and the galaxy, reminding us of this. And because we've been under the influence of a 5-base system, 360 to 365, the wobble in the planet. This is a reminder to us that we're not quite tuned in yet. We're still under the influence of an outside system, let's call it. Well, there's no difference between the outside and the inside. We're still under, let's just call it another system, to experience what we came to experience. finished, done. We are beyond that. And that's my reminder for myself. We are infinite beings. Remember that. So when we are moving into aspects of our experience that we're not quite happy with, we tend to take on the lesser role again and forget who we are. And drama plays out. So let's reel that back in. Remember who we are. Come to the portal. Come to the center of our hearts, 0 point. Open up that portal that connects to that sun that's rising soon with me. And enter into our spiritual nature and really start dreaming a new dream of how we be with each other. And aloha, Kate. Are you there? She had her hand up. Well, her mic's open. And
okay, it usually helps if I unmute, right? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, beautiful, Kate.
Okay, no, because I just got this other set of headphones. My other headphones are screwing up, so I went to the dollar store and picked up I wasn't sure how good they were going to be.
So yeah, remember solstice, Kate? 3 so-called months ago. Now we're sitting here, Equinox. And
yeah, happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you, Kate. Thank you. Happy New Year, all.
Yeah, this is the true New Year.
And I want to keep it on focus here for a moment, but there is another show. Our loving friend of all of us, Santos Bonacci, is going to be on later today. Happy Equinox to all of you guys west of me who are now rolling into Friday. Keep that neutral point, keep that 0 point, keep that balance, please. And so that show that's going on later today, Kate, with Santos and quite a few other. Yeah, I remember the solstice show and how we talk at the Emerald Table about not ourselves creating a duplicate of the old system.
Yeah, I just had a comment from a friend regarding that. With, for my whole feeling on this game is you're here to learn gratitude, and it just seems everything points in that direction with breaking words down, and gratitude keeps coming up everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look around at our lovely planet and what has been done to it, for me, it had to get to an extreme where we can see the true mirror of what we have in terms of where we live and what we've done to it, raping and pillaging the planet, basically killing everything in sight,
Right, which is a reflection of what we're doing to ourselves.
Exactly. Like I said, We're on a suicide mission here, right?
Yeah, it's something I shared earlier on the show about how I have gratitude for the whore of Babylon. I have gratitude for the one who makes me, or I get angry with. When I have a chance to sit back in myself to tune in, I'm like, oh, thank you. You just reminded me of something. Myself.
Again, here it's all about contract, right? And it's only in that contrast can we see the true center of it. And just a quick congratulations on your show. Yay! That's awesome.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, and that gratitude. Wow. We're coming real close to it again, Kate. How that's just so... That contrast, when we're shared that contrast, we're thankful for it. Now, what happens is we stop playing with that contrast, and this is where we go, that now that we're no longer playing with that contrast, what do we do now? And this is where I'm reminded of, let's tune into our true imaginations and have some fun.
I mean, that is the nature of the game. As I went back through the book of, I might as well call it A-E-I-O-U without the A, right? E-I-O-U. One of the hidden books. And isn't it funny that the name of God is Je, which is French for play. And we've lost the spirit of play. That has been drilled out of us in, all of these disciplines that we get, programmed with, programmed to into someone else's version of history, someone else's version of language, someone else's version of everything. And all we are is conditioned as children to be good little slaves listening to an authority figure, to be good little slaves listening to another authority figure when we get to high school or secondary school, and then the same with college, university, or whatever, right into the workforce, right up to the point where you are constantly looking outside yourself for an authority figure, and you are the authority. And for me, that was the program that had to be broken. And to learn that discipline within yourself, it's where the children finally grow up and they don't need mommy or daddy system wiping their butts for them. They don't have someone to, let's say, lean on per se. In a personal level too. Both my parents are gone, and one at a young age. And I'm sure lots of people out there, in same situation of contrast in their lives. And it's when you realize that, and these are like, big lessons to me, for everybody. And when you realize that there's only you, there's just you, and it's very easy to take that same concept and shift it into a system. Now, whether your mom or dad is still around or whatever, to me, is irrelevant in this lesson, because the lesson is the same to me. Are you going to keep looking outside of yourself for guidance, for someone else to lead you, for someone else to, wipe your nose, wipe your bum, make sure your mittens are on and all the rest of it, or are you finally ready just to stand up and stand together? And I see that happening around the world now. And Santo, speaking of, had sent me a video for a rally, and the people are awake, and this is a revolution. This is a huge revolution. The revelations are here, and a revolution is where you turn the wheel. And that's, you can take the negative aspect. It's a revolution. Yeah, it is. And it's also a turning of the wheel. The wheel of fortune is turning.
Okay, right where you began is my reminder where you ended. So you're out at a protest. Again, remember, stand up, but also remember the dream you want to be. Because if you only focus on what you're protesting, you're not going to remember the other part is, what is it you do want to see and be and live? And that's, like you said, from a young age, our imagination was knocked out of us, and here's the other program. What, you're imagining? Shut up. Stop that. Quit daydreaming. Right? Right there. Just these normal, you know what I mean?
That's the difference.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, that was, you see how, in our experience, we tuned out from our imagination very young.
Well, that's the difference between standing in truth. In terms of a protest, you're either standing in your own truth, or you're like the masses throwing a tantrum.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the difference. Why are you there? Are you there because you're not getting your cereal box with your decoder ring in it, or are you there because of the greater ideal of this system is harming everyone? Is it a selfish for self, or is it a selfless for all, which is going to serve self anyway?
Right.
For me, that's the difference.
Right. And so what I'd like to also see, that's beautiful, man. Yeah. That's the difference wherever we are, right?
Yep.
And so what we've, oh, look at that. So what we've, I had this beautiful talk with a friend the other day. Very briefly, I was just like, hey, just touching base with her what I was doing, and then I was in this beautiful part of the island where there's this massive avocado tree that shares with me, and I was going to check on her. And so then I was leaving, and my friend came back out, and man, there's a lot of beautiful old souls on Molokai. All my friends were these older women, Kate, for like my first 3-4 years here. All my friends were older women, 5, 10, 15, 20 years older than me. I don't have any male friends again. It was so funny. I needed to soak up some wisdom. And so the wisdom this friend shared with me, Kathy, she, there you go, Kate. Kathy shared with me was, Michael, it's all about the imagination. And this is what we got to teach the kids. And because she knows we've talked about school and stuff like that and how I'm not a fan of it. And we were like, how this is really stepped on, really forced out of us. And now I'm like, okay, let's not get paranoid or negative. Hey, this is again what we need to remind our kids of, to foster, to give wings to, is their imagination again. And this is their education. Their education is first and foremost about me is, hey, remember, tune into your imagination and let's develop it. That's what I want to do. This imagination, Kate, this is what we're talking about. This is where we're operating from the anagogic, the spiritual causal nature of our true being, our wholeness.
Yeah,
and this is where we watch the beautiful dream. We live in the beautiful dream.
It's hard to have an imagination when you're focused on all of the other system things called worry and stress, and I've got to do this, and I've got to pay that, and I've got to be here, and I've got to set this, and the calendar owns you year round. You know, as soon as one quote holiday is done, the next one is being focused on to keep you off the now. And how are you supposed to develop that imagination? Well, the easiest way to do it, and it's not easy because we're so conditioned to being noisy, that cacophony of life coming at us, and all sorts of noises, distractions, to get quiet, to spend some time with yourself. And I would say literally grab a coloring book and just do a few pages. You know, get into that zone that will take your mind off everything else, and then start having the imaginings of the child again. Because these are the things we create. The thoughts that we have are the world we create. Now, we have been so conditioned away from that. Well, how can that be? You know, because you've been so conditioned into the physical state, and there is nothing physical about our nature. And every thought creates reality, and if our reality is being controlled for us, well, the imagination you think you have is only building more of the same construct in terms of how society thinks, how society wants you to act. You know, people will talk about, well, imagine going here and having fun and with friends. It's still, to me, that's still system. You know, like going on vacation. It's you know, the 1 or 2 weeks a year that people get, they're focused on vacation, and I'll tell you, it's not the now, and that is
you fuck up the now. You're today. Yeah.
Exactly.
Focusing on some future date vacation or 0 point awakening. Yeah, it's an outward projection that we get caught in. Well, you're saying it really clear, Kate. Thanks.
And nothing keeps your imagination trapped more than a focus on, well, you know, in 2 weeks we're going here, and in 13 days we're going here, and 12 days, and you're counting it down, and that whole time frame, basically, as you would book something, your whole time frame is focused on that, and it's a countdown, and you're out of the now that whole time. So this is why the whole notion of planning is, to me, it's contrary of planting, right? Just letting things grow, letting things be as they are, and it's gonna take people a little bit, and it took me a bit anyway. So to get past these things, and you'll still wrestle with them. I know I do. Some don't. Some completely wrestle. So I look at where I am in the grand scheme of things, and again, looking at the contrast outside of me of the effect that gets created literally by our thought, is how I see my own creation mirroring back. What am I doing to change things? What am I doing to change? Well, by changing me. And as soon as you can change the base of operations, you, and start working from the heart and the imagination, that's when you start having fun. And for me, the phonics, redefining headlines into something that would be portrayed as negative into something funny and positive, I watch these things happen. Do you remember the night I talked about the, trying to take people off the cross, and they're busy climbing back up, and they grab their 3 1/4 pass load gun and they nail themselves back to the cross? Yeah. Okay. Do you want to see the effect of that?
Yeah.
In the last little while, and it's only in the last little while I was talking. You know what I'm talking?
Yeah.
Okay. Some banker had been found suicided with 7 or 8 3 1/4 inch nail gun nails in them. I don't know how you commit suicide with.
I caught that little blip. Yeah. How that is even possible, and then I scrolled. Okay, I know the one you're talking.
Okay, so correlate those stories, and then correlate the role that individual is playing, right? And that to me is crucifying the banking system. The banking system is crucifying itself.
Yeah.
So I go back to correlate just talking about it and having a laugh about it, and if people can get the visuals of that, and lo and behold, someone in that system decides to do it. These are not coincidences.
Yeah.
This is cause and effect.
Yes. Totally. And the way you just shared, like looking at the headlines, and then all of a sudden I could see them unscramble. And as you're sharing, and then you see it play out, that the changed headline. I'm just, I see that.
Well, again,
have fun and watch it. There's your imagination at work. That's just such a simple tool or simple little game you can play. That I just really saw the power of using your imagination there and the effect. Yep, and it works. Just like the Malaysian Arabs, everyone's focused on spies this and programmers that and all the rest of it. And what I see is the allegory of the Malaysians that invaded Ireland out of Egypt, the Hyksos and all the rest of it. That was it getting taken down. And their rulership of in the air ruling in a spiritual sense went crashing into the ocean, the truth, right? So I only see the allegories, and people go, well, that's kind of heartless. Well, that's your physical stuck. I'm not. All things for a reason. I just seek the reason. That whole story, and I haven't read one article in its entirety about it, except a few headlines and sentences. Man, I've caught the gambit of what might have happened. Until, never happened, landed in India, alien ship picked it up, went down in the ocean, all just like we're replaying the so-called, you saw it with JFK, you saw it with 9/11, we've seen it with so many other things. This fear program that's supposed to make the same basic play. But put it in the mirror, Michael. Make us go, wow, and we're all like, well, at least me, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just like, it doesn't even get my attention, Kate. Why would it?
Yeah.
Why should it? Unless, like you just said, thanks for reminding me
reinterpret it.
Of the, actually relevant truth about something deeper.
Reinterpret it, because, with all the little stories going around that, these are all storylines that are relevant to other points of view, if they can see what's going on and take it anagogic. So for me, it's about history and English. Those were my majors, right? So I looked through history and, of course, language and phonics and all the rest of it to put all this together. So, whether it went into the ocean or not, it's irrelevant to me. But the story came out that it was, so I redefined that in my reality of that aspect of our blinded consciousness is removed. So
you know what? Someone sharing that the other day through, I believe, your Facebook about the, true nature of St. Patrick in the story, or at least another version of it, where you had these pygmies tribe, or we can call them pygmies, this shorter tribe from Africa that had come up to Ireland and the Isles, and long time ago, and they said these were some of the Druids or something of this nature. Anyways, I might not be correcting the story right, but just showing how we had this connection long time ago, and it was this Druidic pagan, earth really connected to the nature. And then that's who St. Patrick came with the church to get those guys out. They were the snakes that they were forcing out. Those were the literal snakes, were these people, the living in the heart of Ireland. And here we are. My grandmother is, my mother's mother is Irish. And I got my passport originally, Kate, when I was 18 to go to Ireland. I haven't been.
Oh, you should. It's you'll know when you get there.
I've lived in London off and on many times, and squatting, this, that, and the other. And I was like, all right, we're going to Ireland this time, finally. No, still haven't gone, man. So here's another place on my list that I'm coming to soon. And I've been shared and reminded of, once again, of the natural pathways we can move with this planet. And I'd like to share one. It's a tree I have an intimate connection with, and it's the banyan. And these banyan trees, it's this family of trees all over the world that are interconnected. And this is coming into clarity again of how we live as one with the planet and ourselves.
Well, just a quick aside. Last night I was talking about Julian May's books, the Pleistocene book, which was it went into more books, but the original 4 books were The Many-Colored Land, The Not Unborn King, The Golden Torque, and The Adversary. I was trying to remember the name of The Adversary, which was a group of rebel humans that escaped through the time portal into the past and disappeared ended up in Ocala, Florida area. And I couldn't remember his name, so I'm scrolling down here on my Facebook as soon as you mentioned that. And there was a headline. This one came in from Maria. It was from Heaven and Hello. Just going to quickly read this. It won't take a minute. And I couldn't think of the
2 minutes left. Oh,
do we? Okay, well, I won't bother. I'll do this tonight. But anyway, the character's name was Abaddon. That's what he was referred to as. And the Abaddon as just... the Book of Revelation calls hell the pit of Abaddon. And this is the fiery furnace where we burn and churn so the phoenix can rise from the ash. It's the place of the Christ consciousness to rise, where it turns men into gods. So I just thought that was just a coincidence. I was talking about it last night, and it shows up. Anyway, you know what it's like, right?
Beautiful. Yes. Ooh, I feel it. Well, just listen to some of the words of the chair. It's fire. Fire is, I'm looking at it right now, Venus.
Fire-o.
Fire-o. This is the pyramid. This is the pentagram. This is, as you said, then six, sex, source. We're moving from source. We're going from fire, 5, mixing with 6, as you said, and then we're coming. We're now, as you said, we're moving. We're coming, and I was going to come to 8 to 9, into the, coming to the heart. It's this home where we can still use, which I'm so thankful for, with the language, and now getting more familiar with the numbers of how they resonate with us and represent, as you're showing, the positive, the negative of the words, and the numbers, and the neutral, and this. It's bringing clarity to many, and myself included, where, again, it's tuning us into this stillness, as you were saying, this neutrality, where the feeling's good, eh, Kate?
Oh yeah. Again, congratulations on your first show, and many more as required.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much. Much aloha to all. Please tune into the Emerald Table tonight, Critical Mass Radio. Paul Giovanni and the whole crew, big ups, much love, much aloha. Whoosh. And, wow, the dawn is rising here on my beautiful Equinox. Let's have it every day. Much aloha, Kate, much aloha all. Much love.
Much love. Take care.
All right, Kate.
We're in the recording now, my friend.
Yeah.
So roll her out, and I'm just sorting through a few things here. Okay?
Yeah, I might actually run to the beach.
Okay. Great show.
Yeah, how beautiful it is. I'll take some photos. Ooh, thank you, Kate. Thank you so much for coming in. And I will, I'll be here today to 2 o'clock to help with the board. You want me to hold the board, or you want to hold it? I'll back it.
I'll let you know. I'll probably let you run it.
Yeah. Either way,
one
of us will
back
back
up some
to
fun.
You. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Wonderful, Kate.
All right. Take care. Much love to all. Bye.
Yeah. Woo. All right, everyone. Thank you again for tuning into Gaia Sophia Dreaming. And much aloha. Much aloha.